The first round of Supercars season is done, and depending on who you support, you're either feeling pretty optimistic and confident, or maybe perhaps you're in the camp where you're a little bit worried. Sydney Motorsport Park has kicked off the championship season, and we've had a long-awaited Supra debut, which was awesome. The night racing under lights, and some early performance clues as to where we're going with some of the manufacturers. A lot of these questions are still sitting up there out in the open for the championship, where it might be heading. But in this video, I want to break down the Supra debut, whether Sydney should still be having the opening round and what your thoughts are there. BRT, have they arrived? Are they legit? And why some of the Chevy fans might want to buckle up for this season. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with the headline, the Supra debut. Honestly, better than expected. It wasn't without its teething problems. We obviously saw some early trouble with Andre Heimgartner's engine failure, which is never ideal when you're trying to build that confidence as a brand and as a new package. Those sort of stuff does happen, and we'll hope the teams or the engine supply can kind of get on top of that. And it's nothing like it's a once-off rather than just being something that's going to be an issue ongoing. But it's the sort of issues that the teams are really hoping are now out of the way. They've had their testing, and we're not exposed to it on an ongoing basis. One of the key takeaways was that they finished really strong. Getting all 5 Supras in the top 10 in that final race was a huge positive for them and for the sport. And it's a really good baseline that it's solid that the cars are kind of raceable. The teams aren't chasing too much at the moment. There were moments of great speed that we did see. Some of the shorter stints and seeing Woody being able to drag a lap out of it. But if we're being brutally honest, there's something not quite right. It does look, or it just feels like they're not quite as fast in the racing scenario over a full stint during the race. And look, that's okay. It's early days. But let's hope that it's just a bit of getting their heads around the setup, and it's not something that they need to adjust from a parity level. Okay, the telecast. Wow, let's have a quick word about it, because visually, the new graphics, etc., big tick. I like them. They're clean, informative. Having the teams logos, I thought was really good, and then scrolling around so you can see the car numbers. They look modern. They're clean. They're polished. I think it's what the category needed. It was a great refresh. But what a big miss. And oh my goodness, some of the data that they were displaying inside the graphics, it was just comical. It was so bad at some points. Now, if you are going to show those overlays, obviously we need all the information to be correct. We needed to tell us something meaningful. Too often it felt like the work experience kid was left to their own devices to try and figure this stuff out. And they kept, I think it was like a dummy package that they were displaying, that they just continuously shot up, Penrite Racing being all the teams and Matty Payne being multiple things. MIDI Racing, which is something from last year, doesn't even exist in 2026, were all displayed in error. And I guess you can excuse, 1, maybe 2 over a weekend, but it just kept happening. And it was just embarrassing having to look at this. And I guess if you've seen any of the Scotty Pie Apex Hunters shorts from the weekend on socials, he certainly was calling it out. So it was a bit of a shock. They look good, but they've got to get that stuff right if they're going to be the premier category in Australian motorsport. Now, as for the commentary team, let's give them a 7 out of 10. Clearly, the new talent is, I think it works. I think it's a great refresh. There were points where I thought, I think we are missing Crompton, just holding things together a little bit. At no point did I miss Scaife at any way, shape, or form. It was great not to hear him on the telecast, but they've still got a bit of work to find their rhythm. There were just some crosses and some interactions where they just weren't gelling quite enough. I'm sure it will improve as the season goes on. Just calling it out right now because I think we all probably noticed it. But the additions to the commentary team and the shakeup, I think overall was a success. Just they just need to sharpen up a little bit around the edges. Now, in terms of the night racing, I mean, what a massive tick this is. The cars look sensational under lights. You know, the flames popping on the downshifts. Some of the photos and the videos that come from that are just like exactly what the sports need from the opening round. It instantly gives us, you know, a more dramatic and like a kind of, you know, excitement that is positioned out of seeing cars at night. It does make Sydney feel a little different, you know, to the day races. And I think if Sydney's going to stay on the calendar, the night racing has to be part of that. It gives that spectacle, which makes motorsport what it is and why we love it. Now, as far as Sydney and SMP, look, I might annoy a few people, but I've said it before and I'm going to keep saying it because I just can't get away from it. Sydney should not be, or New South Wales should not be locked in as the opening round for our sport. SMP, it just simply doesn't have the impact. That track doesn't give the impact. The crowds that turn out, it's limited because it's outside of Sydney. Even though the crowd numbers were better than last year, I'm not convinced without seeing more data that slogan from Supercars saying, you know, record crowd. So it depends what you're recording the crowd numbers against. I don't think you can compare to the numbers they used to get back in the 90s. That's for sure. The racing could be solid. It is still a good track, and being at nighttime for two of the races definitely helps improve it. But I just don't feel it should be the opener. Our opening round and our finale, they need to be big events. They need to be something that really inspires and pushes momentum into the season. The free entry on Friday seemed to help with the crowd numbers, so that was a good thing. We did see more people. Never looked bumper, but it looked much better than the year before. They had Jet playing on that Saturday night. It just didn't feel like, from what they showed on the cameras, which was not much, but it just didn't feel like there was a huge enough crowd and it didn't have a buzz about it. And so, look, I think if we're going to have an opener or a season opener, it needs to be a big event. It needs to be something that really kicks off our season and helps drive eyeballs onto our category, because we've got a short window before the footy codes kick off, and we need to get that interest to maintain it throughout the year. When you've got Adelaide as a finale, you really need that strong opener, some round somewhere to kind of be the bookend for the Supercars season. And I'd love to hear your thoughts of what you think would be the best opening round for Supercars. Now, let's get on to that magical performance. BRT have arrived. Okay. One of the biggest positives from this weekend was that BRT undoubtedly progress and have improved immensely, especially since 12 months ago, they had teammates running into each other during warm-up laps. So, you know, it's hard to not improve from that scenario. But look, it's a noticeable step forward in performance. And the big question now really is it track specific or is it a result of their genuine progress? Like I hope it's the latter, because I guess they did a lot of personnel changes and structural changes inside that team halfway through last year. And I really hope that that is going to be able to continue and we're seeing that improve, because it's great to see a new team up there. Um, if they have improved overall and they're going to be at the front end of the field, they will need to improve or sharpen up a little bit on some of their pit work, their strategy. It is a different scenario or situation when you have to manage leading or being at the front. You do need to make different strategy calls, and you need to apply your pit work needs to be sharper. We saw it in that first one. Triple Eight were just better, and they were able to take the lead of that race just based on their pit crew. So, look, it is one of those things, but overall, it's a massive tick for BRT. It's a great launch and a great first round for them. And let's hope that those internal resources and some of the team dynamics that they built last year are what's going to carry them forward as one of the top 4 teams for this year. It's a big call to find out whether those internal resources or some of that Triple Eight alliance is the reason for the improve. But either way, we'll take it, especially when you've got that liquid moly car. Still, I'm not going to stop raving about it. It is the best livery that we've got. All right. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Chevrolet, the Chevy teams. Okay, yes, Anton De Pasquale loves Sydney Motorsport Park, and yes, he had a fantastic weekend, which was great for Chev, was great for the sport, because after the domination of race 1, there was already rumblings on socials about the Mustang Cup, blah, 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 all this stuff that was going around. So it was great that Anton could step up and get a result, because, it is needed for the sport for Chev to be competitive. But he is a little bit track dependent, so we know he goes well at SMP. What happens when they hit tracks that they didn't work well last year, whether it was the drivers or the team? Have they taken a step forward, or is it just SMP related with Anton? Reynolds had some moments where he was up there but couldn't tie it all together. And I guess one of the major talking points coming into the round was the change in their cog, in their center of gravity, where they moved 4.5 kilos towards the roof, or to the roof of the car. And to me, it did feel like there were some flow-on effects from that change. A lot of the Chev teams seem to be chasing balance and setups for the weekend and getting a bit of that consistency that they needed. So it did seem to unsettle them at times. And I guess here's a bit of the uncomfortable part for you Chevy fans. With Triple Eight not there, who is going to step up other than Team 18? It seems like they have taken a step forward, and we need that for the sport, but like with Roland now at Premier, when or can they actually improve and step up? They had moments of speed during that weekend, but never tied it together, and their performances were okay. MSR and Erebus, they're always good at certain tracks. Are they going to be able to lift the Chevrolet performance of the sport? Because if it's only Triple Eight, if it's only Team 18 that are going to be a challenger, look, it's going to be a pretty lean year for you as Chev fans, and you're going to see a lot of Fords taking that top position just by the way of now majority of those previously top teams. I guess we've thrown BRT in there now, but the previously top teams are all now in Fords. So it's going to be a tough year, I think, for you. Now, just some final thoughts on this. Let's wrap it up. The Supra debut, a success. I think there's room to grow, but it was a success overall. The night racing, we got to keep that. It just is. It is crucial, and it is a spectacle for our sport. Time to dump Sydney as the round opener. It just doesn't cut it for me. Blanchard Racing Team, absolute. I think they're legit contenders now. I think we're going to see them definitely into the 10 in most of the racing, which I'm really, really happy about. And the Chevys, well, plenty to prove, and so let's see how they go as the year and the season continues. So we didn't get all the answers from this opening round, but it certainly gave us enough clues as to where things are going. We don't want to take it as gospel because we saw what happened to Cam Waters and Tickford last year after they dominated and then didn't really deliver for the rest of the year. But let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about the Supras. Are they better or worse than I said? Should we have Sydney as the opening round, or where else would you like it to be? And for the Chev fans, how do you actually feel after round one and about this year? Like, give us your thoughts. Give us a like and love to hear your thoughts. Give us a like and a subscribe if you like the content, and we'll do it all again in the next video, in the next round. Anyway, the season is officially started. Catch you next time.